Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISSP Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the ISSP Squared CISSP exam with focused explanations and practical context. In this episode, we are exploring global legal systems and international cybercrime laws. As the cybersecurity field becomes more complex and interconnected, professionals must understand how different legal frameworks impact their work. Whether you are managing a multinational incident response, ensuring cross-border data compliance, or collaborating with international law enforcement, a solid grasp of these legal principles is essential. Cybercrime does not recognize national borders, but laws, regulations, and enforcement mechanisms do. This mismatch creates significant challenges for both organizations and investigators. Understanding how different legal systems operate and how cybercrime laws are structured globally empowers you to make better decisions, coordinate more effectively, and maintain compliance across jurisdictions. Let us begin with an overview of global legal systems. Around the world, countries follow different legal traditions. Most fall into one of three categories: common law, civil law, or hybrid systems. Common law systems are based heavily on judicial precedent. In other words, the decisions of past courts play a major role in shaping current legal interpretations. This system is most prominent in countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. In these countries, cybersecurity and privacy laws are often interpreted by courts over time, creating case law that professionals must follow and understand. Civil law systems, on the other hand, are based on codified statutes. These systems prioritize written laws passed by legislatures and often leave less room for interpretation by judges. Civil law is the dominant system in many European countries, as well as parts of Asia and Latin America. In these jurisdictions, clarity and structure are prioritized, and legal professionals work primarily from comprehensive codes rather than evolving court rulings. Hybrid legal systems blend elements of both. Countries like Japan, South Africa, and the Philippines may rely on a mix of statutory law and judicial precedent, creating a more nuanced legal environment. For cybersecurity professionals, this means adapting to different expectations depending on where they operate. Understanding which system a country follows is important because it influences how laws are written, how enforcement is carried out, and how legal disputes are resolved. When dealing with compliance, incident response, or litigation in a global context, knowing the legal system helps shape your strategy and communication approach. Now let us look at cybercrime laws and the international frameworks that support enforcement. While there is no single global cybercrime law, many countries have adopted national legislation that criminalizes acts such as unauthorized access, hacking, identity theft, fraud, and data breaches. However, because these laws were developed independently, they vary widely in scope, definition, and penalty structure. To promote global cooperation, some nations have signed on to international agreements, the most significant of which is the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. The Budapest Convention, adopted in 2001, was the first international treaty aimed specifically at addressing internet and computer crimes. It provides a common legal framework for investigating, prosecuting, and cooperating on cybercrime cases across national boundaries. Countries that have ratified the treaty commit to harmonizing their laws, developing investigative powers, and assisting other signatories in criminal investigations. Still, many countries have unique national laws that reflect local priorities, legal traditions, and regulatory preferences. These differences can complicate international collaboration, particularly when evidence needs to be shared, suspects need to be extradited, or jurisdictional questions arise. Mutual legal assistance treaties, known as MLATs, are one mechanism used to facilitate international legal cooperation. These treaties formalize the process for requesting evidence, executing search warrants, and conducting joint investigations between governments. Organizations like Interpol and Europol also play major roles in coordinating cybercrime investigations and intelligence sharing. As a CISSP, you are not expected to be a lawyer, but you must understand how these frameworks work and how they affect your responsibilities. For example, if your organization is involved in a cross-border breach, You may need to support legal teams by preserving evidence, communicating with law enforcement, and ensuring compliance with international notification requirements. Let us now take a closer look at some major examples of cybercrime legislation around the world. In the United States, the primary law is the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, or CFAA. This law criminalizes unauthorized access to computer systems, as well as fraud, extortion, and damage related to cyber incidents. It is one of the oldest and most frequently used laws in American cybercrime cases. In the United Kingdom, the Computer Misuse Act addresses unauthorized access, data interference, and other computer crimes. Like the CFAA, this law forms the foundation for prosecuting cybercriminals and sets expectations for system administrators and security professionals. The European Union has its own approach. The Directive on Attacks Against Information Systems harmonizes the criminalization of cyber attacks across member states and defines minimum penalties for offenses. This directive works alongside broader EU privacy and data protection laws, including the General Data Protection Regulation, to create a robust legal framework. Countries like Australia, Canada, and Japan also maintain comprehensive cybersecurity laws. These laws typically cover offenses like phishing, denial of service attacks, and digital fraud, while also defining standards for infrastructure protection and data handling. In some countries, laws are still evolving, and legal uncertainty can pose challenges for organizations that operate globally. Familiarity with these laws helps you manage compliance, support incident response, and build effective risk mitigation strategies. You do not need to memorize every regulation, but you must know where to find them, who to consult, and how to ensure your systems and teams are aligned with legal expectations. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Let us now examine the challenges of enforcing cybercrime laws across national borders. Cybercriminals exploit the Internet's global nature to hide their locations, distribute attacks, and use infrastructure in multiple countries. This makes enforcement extremely difficult, especially when nations have different legal definitions, evidentiary standards, or priorities. For example, one country may define unauthorized access differently than another. Some nations may lack laws addressing certain types of digital crime altogether. Others may be unwilling to extradite their citizens or share sensitive information with foreign governments. Jurisdictional issues are a major barrier. Law enforcement may know where the victim resides, but not where the attacker launched the attack or stored the stolen data. Without mutual legal agreements, gathering evidence from foreign service providers can be slow or impossible. Data privacy and localization laws further complicate investigations. In some jurisdictions, data may not legally be transferred across borders, even if it contains critical evidence. Different requirements for chain of custody or data integrity may prevent one country's evidence from being admissible in another country's court. Organizations like Interpol and Europol help coordinate enforcement. They provide intelligence sharing platforms, issue alerts for wanted cyber criminals, and assist with international investigations. However, even with their help, successful prosecution is still rare, highlighting the need for improved global cooperation and harmonized legal definitions. Cybersecurity professionals support these efforts by preparing evidence, documenting incidents, and working with legal and compliance teams. Being prepared means understanding the limitations and designing processes that align with both local laws and international obligations. Let us wrap up with some best practices for managing global legal risks. First, organizations should map out all applicable laws relevant to their global operations. This includes data protection rules, breach notification laws, and cybersecurity standards in every jurisdiction where they operate or have customers. Incident response plans should be reviewed to ensure they account for international reporting requirements, law enforcement involvement, and evidence handling rules. If an incident affects multiple countries, coordination is essential to avoid delays or violation. Training is also important. Legal teams must understand cybersecurity challenges. Cybersecurity teams must understand legal requirements. Regular joint training sessions, simulations, and tabletop exercises can bridge these knowledge gaps and promote cooperation. Documented procedures are critical. During an incident, staff need to know who contacts authorities, how data is preserved, and what timelines apply. Clear procedures reduce confusion and support legal compliance. Finally, building relationships is key. Establishing connections with legal counsel, regulatory authorities, and law enforcement before an incident occurs improves response speed and increases trust. Strong relationships also support intelligence sharing, policy development, and collaborative defense initiatives. Thank you for tuning into the CISSP Prepcast by Bare Metal Cyber. Visit baremetalcyber.com for additional episodes, comprehensive CISSP study materials, and personalized certification support. Deepen your understanding of global legal systems and cybercrime laws, and will continue guiding your path towards CISSP certification success.